Yeah. So hey guys, hello everyone. Hello, good evening. So guys, just tell me quickly in the chat box that am I audible and visible clearly? Hi guys, hello Rajesh, hello Abhishek. Guys, am I audible? Hello. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for the confirmation. So, thank you. So, I will introduce myself. My name is Anam from Let's Upgrade, and I'm here just to explain you about the today's boot camp that we are starting with Python libraries. So, I will just tell you about the attendance part and notes and all documentation and all. Like we have notes for you in one sorry in one documentation. So I will just introduce you to the trainer, and then Gaurav Deep sir, that our trainer, that is Gaurav Deep sir. So he will further take the session. So just let me quickly share my screen. Yeah, I hope my screen is also visible, guys. Just tell me in the chat box that hello. Guys, my screen is visible or not? Just tell me in the chat box. Just put some emojis in the chat box that yeah, you are you are all excited for the session. No, I'm not going to take the session. Our trainer is Gaurav Dip sir. He will take the session. So hi, yes, okay. So guys, here in the description box, you all can see one link for all the things like for registration, attendance, certificate, everything. We have one link. Click on this link. Here you will be redirected to the attendance page. You can see the date wise of the attendance, mark attendance option will come here. So click on this. You have to mark your attendance. You have to rate the session. If here you can select any. If you have any further feedback for us, anything you can put it here. Then submit your attendance. Then just reload the page, and here you can see the progress bar. It increases. So every day as you mark your attendance, your progress bar will increase, and on the last day you will get to download the certificate. Here beside the progress bar, you will get to see generate certificate option. So if you have 50% of your progress bar, you will get to generate it. So yeah, again we have one link, that is doc link, here in the description box. We have everything stored here, like one link, QR code, and link to like mark your attendance and all. This link is for doc for this, and all the lectures link are also there. Now this page is like for notes, everything what we are teaching and what is there in the session, you all can see here. You can save this link for your further reference. You can use it in future, and yeah, you cannot download it of course, but you can save it and use it anytime. So guys, if you have anything for us, anything like any question for us, so you are free to ask in the chat box. I'm here to answer you all. So guys, just put some emojis in the chat box that I am here. Hi, hello, Rentala. Ping the link. Yeah, sure, I will ping the link. So I have pinned the link also. You all can use it and save it also. Can you explain again what you want to know? Like Sheikh, what Shakir. So okay. I will introduce you with our trainer. I have marked my attendance, but not able to certificate. You will get on day 3, not now. After marking all your days, day 1, day 2, and day 3 attendance, then only you will get to generate the certificate. Not now. Good evening, Sneha. So yeah, I think everything is clear now. I will introduce to you all to the trainer. So we have Gaurav Dip sir. Hi sir, hello, good evening.
Hello, ma'am. Good
Hi.
evening. How are you?
Sir, I think your mic is hello.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. So hi sir. So sir, can you tell the students like in short all the instruments what we are going to teach them, what they are going to learn new things, and what project we will build in the on day 3?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so good evening to all of you students. I hope you all are doing great. I am continuously looking into the chat. I see many people are interested for the session. So let us just quickly have overview of the next 3 days, what's going to happen and what exactly are we learning here. So the concept of this live stream is to explain you all the working of Python programming language. The idea will work around how a programming language works, how different domains are covered with this programming language. We will look into certain libraries, especially the numpy and pandas. We will talk about these libraries in depth. We will use it for one particular use case. We will try to solve and do some data analysis around it. Well, the idea is that you should not be just limited to just NumPy pandas or data analysis. This idea can be extended even to development scope because this is how you will learn to load different packages into Python. And the day one, which is today, it will be focused more on the programming language. How does it work? Different regimes, different data types of Python. We will cover that, and once we are done with it, we will definitely proceed and move towards learning the libraries. And then day three would be doing a project on the learnings that you have done. So with that being said, I hope you're all really excited to take this case forward and learn something new today. So let us go ahead and first of all try to introduce ourselves to Python. Now, in order to understand Python, you will need one of the IDE. What does IDE stand for? It means Integrated Development Environment, right? In short, if you have heard about certain softwares like VS Code, PyCharm, or Spider, or any program provider like Anaconda, which is a suite of different IDEs, they all are platforms or softwares when you can write code, right? See, you can do coding in the terminal itself, in the command prompt, the terminal which you have in any operating system. You can interact with the OS and the system directly through the terminal. But to make it little more visually appealing, to make it something which looks easy and the cleaner side of to the human eye, we have IDEs. Now, the kind of proficiency
Sir,
you.
hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, sorry to disturb. So may I leave? Should
Yeah,
I
yeah,
leave?
sure.
Sir?
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
sure.
Okay. Bye, guys. Bye, everyone. Bye, sir.
All right, bye. So, okay, so people, you will get your certificate at the end of this boot camp. So that's the answer to the question that you are putting in. For the attendance, if you want any assistance, you already have the all-in-one document pinned in the chat. You can look into it. That's where you will find all the questions. Duration of the session would be around 2 hours approximately on daily basis for the next 3 days, including today. So, yep, that's all. Now, can we use collab? Are there any prerequisites? So you can use collab. No, there are no prerequisites. Uh, you are well to go if you understand how to use a computer. If you can operate your operating system, even if you have played games on this computer, used maybe computer for your documents like word editing, text file editing, presentation creations, entertainment, you're good to go, right? Of course, we keep doing different boot camps, Tableau, Power BI, visualization boot camps also keep happening, and really interested people that you are giving your empowerment a lot. That I'm teaching to the people who are also giving back the feedback. Of course, Satyam, I can speak in Hindi. If the majority of the people turn the chat towards Hindi, I can definitely switch to it. I do not mind. So with that being said, I'll get back to the session. Session is really packed with lot of coverage. When I speak about a lot of coverage, I mean that in the next 2 hours we are completely rushing through the Python bootcamp basically, and there are no prerequisites, right? So let us begin the discussion around this point. So once I say, what does it mean by Python as a programming language? So you also understand that what is a program in short? Let us see how many people in the chat can bring up what exactly is a program. Can anyone put it in the chat? Come on, people, quickly. Let's see how many are engaged over here. I'll be just scrolling through the charts. All right, interesting people. Set of instructions. Of course, so that is what program is supposed to be, a set of instructions. Yep. Instructions that can be understood or are capable to be run by our machine. So any programming language is designed to do that. And when we say we need a lot of mathematics, we need maths to begin the programming domain, I think you can still restrict to basic of arithmetic, simple plus minus divide multiply, and a little bit of matrices, a little bit of then advanced. If you want to go, you can go for calculus, unlock things related to machine learning. You can restrict to matrices and learn more about arrays. You will understand how arrays work. You can still restrict to simple 10th standard, 11th standard, or maybe that's the maximum you will need till 12th standard of mathematics to be a good programmer. And when we talk about Python, so Python is one of a kind of a programming language. Now, Python is more than 20 years old, and the only idea Python was created is to make programming language more user friendly, right? So the idea was that a programming language should be more readable. When I say readable, I'll just try to do type something for you. Let us see how many of you can understand what I've written over here. Okay. Okay. So something that I have written over here and something that I've written over here. So the first thing belongs to known as C++ programming language, uh, and the second thing that I have written belongs to Python. So this is one clear fact example that maybe you will need some library for this. Maybe you will need certain syntax like this to just print hello, and if you want to just do it in Python, you will just need to type print, right? That's the uh, point when we say that the code has to be interpretable or readable, right? So I think this is the fact. People are really spamming in for English, so let us keep it English. As you all know, that I'm always interested in the chats. I keep a track on it, an eye on it. So yep, that's where we will go to, right? तो ठीक है guys, you all know कि we will keep it English. तो यहाँ पर आपको सबसे पहला example मिल गया है of the uh, readability. The idea Python is supposed to be very easy and anyone can pick up if they know how to use the computers. Now, for the people who want the session to be in English, do not worry. I will not speak a single sentence in Hindi which will not be covered in English, right? So bear with that. Yes, let us try to adjust with the maximum audience. We will keep it English, and trust me, not a single sentence will be missed out, which will be converted to Hindi, right? So Hindi people, do not worry. हम हिंदी में भी equally इसको cover करेंगे, right? All right. So, keeping back the pace, see, the idea is let us first understand what is an input and an output device. Uh, when we talk about things, कि चलो कुछ input आ रहा है, how can you give an input to the computer is something that you should think about. And when I say we talk about computer, do not restrict yourself to a personal computer or a laptop. ठीक है? कंप्यूटर तो कुछ भी हो सकता है, मोबाइल फोन से लेके टैबलेट से लेके इवन समथिंग लाइक अ सीएनसी मशीन, राइट? एक सीएनसी मशीन में भी जहाँ पर एक चिप लगी है, इवन दैट इज अ कंप्यूटर, राइट? आपके स्मार्ट एसी, फ्रिज, एनीथिंग दैट हैज प्रोसेसर, एनीथिंग दैट हैज द टीसीपी आईपी प्रोटोकॉल्स, इंटरनेट को कनेक्ट करने की कैपेबिलिटीज, it is smart enough, right? Yep. So, okay, Deepak, I'm already using Jupyter Notebook, by the way. So this is a different version of Jupyter Notebook, like it is in the VS Code itself. You can use Jupyter Notebook, right? And okay. Yeah, that's what I'm doing, Deepak. I am using the setup. Okay, you want a demonstration how to do it. So basically, it's pretty straightforward, Deepak. I think you will have to go to the extension pack, and in the extension pack, you will have to search for notebook. You will get the notebook compatibility packs available here. Okay. So with that being said, this is VS Code Jupyter Notebook Pack reviewer. You can install things like this, my Jupyter Notebook, and you will just have to open files which are IPYNB. All right, let's get back, student. So the idea of any programming language is that whatever inputs that can come, now inputs could be in digital format, of course, but they could be images, they could be audios, they could be text, they could be strings, they could be certain data types like array, JSON, booleans, things like that. So input could be anything that we can have. Uh, all sort of different data coming in. Now, output is something that produce from the input, right? So this is where in between your programming languages will fit in, right? All right. Let me try to change the theme if that's causing trouble. I can switch always to the darker theme. I'll just switch back to the little dark version of it. Now, I think this should still help, and I can again try to reshare my screen because sometimes it can cause, maybe it can cause stop of the blur. I'll just go share my screen. Let us check if we are able to get the blur out this time. All right, cool. I think this should handle the scope. Okay, let me check. On my side, the screen does look pretty clear, and okay, still doable. Let's wait. So, what is IDE? Priyanka is asking. IDE is supposed to be integrated development environment. Integrated development environment. Okay. So the idea is that when we talk about integrated development environment, इसका मतलब क्या होता है? It means that it is a software. It is a software in which programming can be done. Right? You can write code. It is a software to program. That's what IDE is supposed to be. Now, moving back, now we have input and output, and in between our program fits, right? So there are a lot of things that we can solve using this input and output uh, functionality. Suppose if you need that if the input is more than 1,000, raise a flag or turn on a tube light or a certain alarm. All such things are possible through code, right? So code can solve a lot of things. So moving ahead, we also understand our inputs to be of different types. So we'll understand different types of input, how we can have them, and how we can do a lot of things using it. So first thing is to learn a programming language. So the best start is always Python. It is easy to begin with, and it is one of the most versatile programming language, one of the most needed, required, and the industry demanded language for 2024, right? So this language is not going down in few years. There is no competition to it that can take it down, and there are so many industries which are now set up on Python. So many places where Python के बिना गुजारा ही नहीं है. So it is the perfect start to go with. In fact, like it is the AI or ML's favorite pick to start with. Lot of support which AI ML companies or AI ML packages develop are with Python for sure. Okay. Now, with that being said, let us proceed with the idea that how a programming language is supposed to work. So I told you we can do a lot of things with programming language. That is, maybe we can print something back, which is give something as an output. So the most basic type of print that you can do is printing on the terminal itself. Like on the same screen where you're writing the code, on the same screen you can expect an output, right? So in order to create an output, the first thing that you need to do is understand the print command. So Python has a built-in command known as print. You need not write, install, or do anything. You can just use print command, and you can do just hello. Okay. And you will see that whatever I am writing in the command, if I run it using this run cell, The other alternate shortcut is to do control enter, and which is what I do. If I do control enter, it will run the cell and the output is shown below. Now, for people who want to understand how to install the VS Code or how to install an IDE, where to run, you guys can for now hold it for some later task. You can simply follow one tutorial how to install IDE. You can quickly go to your browser, search for online Python IDE or online Python compiler. You can follow this tutorial over there. The tutorial is bare basic. It is just trying to understand or explain you how Python works, and that can be followed over there. And if you want to install any IDE after the session, you can follow a quick tutorial. Ideally, I will recommend you can also go for Anaconda for beginners. It is a package. You can just Google search, install Anaconda, select your OS, Windows, Mac, Linux, wherever you want to do it. Straightforward installation. You can just install the package, run the installer, good to go. If not, you can follow any tutorial. You can look into how VS Code can be installed, and it's a piece of cake. You will be able to do it. Now, with that being said, let us look at how printing works. So, rather than just printing a single line, we can print multiple lines also, right? For example, we can print hello, and then we can print how are you, right? So when I print it, you see the output converts to hello, how are you? Now, one smarter way to do this would be that we can use some special operators that the Python provides us, right? So the kind of package the Python provides us is not the package exactly, but the smarter way to do it is using certain operators like slash n. So understand students, a forward slash is something which goes in the forward towards the writer edge. That is the slash. Now the forward slash followed by n replicates the enter of your keyboard, right? So when you're entering, you're hitting the enter button on the keyboard, you're basically doing the next line. So slash n stands for next line. Okay. Yes, of course, MacBook M2 is definitely compatible with the Python. Basically, Python is compatible with multi OS and multi chips, right? So, be it Intel, be it Mac 2, M2 chip, no worries. No worries of the operating system, you can use it. So, slash n also work in a similar way. If I do hello slash n how, and then slash n r, and then slash n u, it will print me the same thing in one single command. You see the output doesn't change with this. Now the idea is if you try to plan to have some spaces between the slash n's, then exactly this spaces also will be replicated in your output. So if you see after the first hello, it takes enter, and after the enter there is a white space before how starts. Even after how there's a white space and followed by R, U, and in the end there is no white space after U, right? So because we do not have any slash and after YOU. All right. So with that being said, this is how you print things in Python. Now let us take one example. How can we take input in Python, right? So input can be taken simply with the input command itself. So for that, we will have to create one variable. Now remember, whenever you take any input, you have to store it somewhere, right? You have to store it some container, some box, or some space where you can keep it and then later recall it whenever needed. So in any programming languages, we have variables that can do the task. So in order to store something, we can create a variable. Now, how do we create variables is the first thing. So the first thing is to create a variable, you will have to create a name. Now, name can start with small case like A, B, C, D, E, F, and can have mix of the cases, upper or lower case. Can start with uppercase A, B, C, D, E, F, can have basically numbers into it, something like a b 12 is equals to can. Okay, all right. I'll do. I'll just assign some values and I'll explain you what does this mean. So all these three are the variables which I have created. Let me also zoom in my screen a little bit so that even if it is a little blur, you can still catch it with the larger number of pixels showing the same alphabet. Okay, fine. So, all right. So once this is done, the next idea is what does this code mean? So variables can start with lowercase, can start with uppercase, can have mix of them even with numbers. Let us try now something interesting. A, B, C, 3, hashtag is equal to 4. Now when we run this, we get this is basically not allowed. Then let us say at the rate. We still get that this is not a correct syntax. So the only special character that can be allowed is underscore. This is what you will realize when you try out with the different rules and combination, and which is where uh, you will understand that okay, this is how you declare variables. Okay, all right. So with that being said, rule number one, we can have lowercase. So lowercase start is fine. Rule number two is that we can have uppercase start. Rule number three is can have mix of all. Number four is can have integers but not at start. I'll show an example of that. Say 12 maybe is equals to 31. If we run invalid decimal to 12, we cannot have a variable name assigned with the number, right? That is also one point that you will remember. Can have underscore to begin with. Okay. We can also create a variable like underscore 1 BDC is equals to 10, and you see this still works. Okay, so these are some quick, simple, short, easy rules to create variables. Now, what is on the left hand side is the variable name, and what is on the right hand side of the equal to is the value, right? So that is one point. Now, if you are somehow curious that why have I added a hashtag before all these things that I've written, so in programming languages they are known as comments. Now, what do we mean by comments? So whenever we are solving something, we would like to add one short note or some description or one liner explanation or a comment towards it, right? That can help us explain what is written so that tomorrow even if some other developer is looking into your code, they can understand what do you mean by it, right? Imagine having this abcdefs without the explanation that I've written. So without the explanation this won't look good, right? Which is why a programming language will always give you provision to write comments. In fact, Python can go one step further to provide you a way to write paragraph as a comment, right? With these three literals, right? Like these three quotes. With this, you can simply write comments in multiple lines. So this is a comment which can be extended into multiple lines and may be written also. So when I write this, it still doesn't break the code. It gives us a green success status, which says everything is good and it is good to go. Okay. Now comments can be written like this, even known as doc strings. Okay. Okay. Yep. Commands are never executed, they are only there to understand the code, and a Python or any programming language will quickly understand with just you can say hashtag that this part of the code I have to not execute. This part of the code is not a program script, it is a command. So quickly we recap, we have just talked about comments, what are variables, things that can store your input things, input data, and how we can create variables, what are the rules to create variables are right in front of your screen, right? Now we will discuss how we can take input from a person, right? So Python can provide a built-in functionality known as input, okay? So what does it mean is that if I type input, input takes a prompt, which means it needs to display something in order to take an input, which is again an optional thing. You can leave it an empty string, but I will say enter your input. I'll run this code. It is in the execution phase. Let me just for a second uh, terminate this Python script. It's taking a little longer to run. Or I'll once again assign it. I'll also store it in some variables. Say IP1 is equals to input. Enter your input is equals. So when I run this again, let it run for a while. I think it is taking some time to execute on my device. Okay. So on the top, if you see, okay, all right, I got it. So on the top is this bar is there where I have to enter my input. Do you see my ID is telling me on the top, enter your input, right? Press enter to confirm or escape to cancel this stage. Now I can give any input. Suppose if I give hello as the input. So I told you Python can give you uh, a provision to take input from the user. So now this program is waiting for me to give the input. When I give the input and I press enter, only then the program will finish execution. So if I hit enter, the input will be processed that way, right? So once that being said, the input will be stored in this IP1. Okay. Now this is one way to take the input. We want to check what the input value is. In the same line, I can do print IP1, right? That will help me print out the thing. So once again, I'll just quickly tell you what these two lines mean. So take the input from the user, print the input taken as output. Okay. So it's a two-step process. In IP1, I'll be taking input. Now, in any software or any program or any IT solution that you see, usually the input doesn't come like this. The input doesn't come from writing input and enter your value. The input usually comes from the front end. So for any application, say a simple application like Amazon, Flipkart, Netflix, Uber, Ola, you have a front end which is the display on your phone through which you interact with the menu, you interact with the things, you can speak, you can pass your audio, you can pass your images, you can pass chat, you can pass multiple buttons as the input, and these inputs go into the backend program as something known as input, right? So that is the only difference that you will find in the real world, that rather than you interacting with the terminal and taking the input, you will expect real world input to come from the front end side, right? So Python at the back end can take the input and do whatever processing you want to do with the input, and then produce the output back to your front end screen, which is where things will be displayed to you, right? So suppose if I have to take any programming language, let us say we take Zomato for an example. So on the front end, if I select any restaurant, the selection process is done with the help of backend. If I click on that restaurant is loaded from the database and the menu is given to me. And the front end, that's the output. From the menu, if I select few things, that select button goes back to the backend. It is the input to the backend. It adds that value into your cart, and in the output, the cart is updated on the front end. When you click on pay now, or after skipping all the process of selecting address and everything, pay now is the input to the backend that this is the value to be taken. Your credit card or your debit card details are taken in the as an input in the backend, and the payment is processed. When backend gets the green flag, okay, payment is done. On the output, it is displayed that okay, your order is confirmed. So this is how inputs and output works, and programming languages help us write the logic to do things, right? Suppose if I give you at the back end that this is the food menu selected, what should be done? So how should it be added to the cart, or that logic to add that thing to the cart of the person, that is done using the you can say simply the uh, programming language. So we will just simply run this code once. It will tell me enter the input, and whatever input I give, say suppose if I type here Zomato, do you see this is the output which I'm getting? I can also make it a little more interesting by printing one more statement. Say following is the input received, and we can do it. Say Swiggy this time. Following is the input received, which is Swiggy. And that is how you can successfully capture inputs and use them, or just generate output them, or visualize them using simply Python, right, as a programming language. Okay, yeah. So quite interesting. Why you don't pass it with the input code? Yes. So Piyush has one question that whatever input that I'm giving, will it be always stored as strings? Yes, the input by default does that. So even if I do 12 and I confirm that the output which I'm getting is not integer 12 but string 12. So in order to then cast this input as some data type, you can use operators or the functions to convert them. If I wrap this entire thing in integer function, it will convert things into integer, and if it cannot, it will fail. Suppose if I run this now, it will enter your input. If I say hello, it will say value error, invalid literal for strings. Hello cannot be converted into an integer, right? If I run this code once again, and if I do 12, if I hit enter, I get the output again. But now this time it is an integer, right? Alright. So with that being said, that's your again as mentioned in the comments typecasting, that we can convert or cast any data type over it. Even if you want float tomorrow, you can convert it into float. If I run this now, if I give input as 12, I run it, you see point 0 is by default given in front of it, which is nothing but again you are typecasting that the input now should always be float. If not, then you can handle it that you are not giving me float in the input. I cannot proceed with it. Okay. Now, sometimes okay, so people are asking me that if we can check the data type of the input, right? So of course you can do it in Python. There is a function to check the data type, which is known as type function. So in Python, whenever you are calling a function, you have to use the round brackets which take arguments, or you can say parameters which you want to pass. So for type one, I want to check the what is the data type of it, and if I do it, and I'll just give a comment here, data type which is equals to, and with comma I can print multiple things in one line. I'll just simply run it. I'll do enter input, I'll do 12, enter, and this is the data type that you are receiving. It should be float. And here it is. So this is how in Python you can simply use the input and output. Again, I will repeat to all of the students that in order to learn a programming language, it is not necessary to go piece by piece, page by page. You can just focus on major components. Like for example, still the print method itself can have different variations to it, right? If I use f literal and I print something like this, like output is equals to, and use this round pattern in which I do IP1. And if I run this, it will still give me output equals to 12. What does this mean is that print has one more method to print using the format literal, in which the Python will be aware if I am passing anything into the string and it starts and ends with curly brackets, it is one variable name and I have to print the variable value. So we have already created one variable IP1 which stores 12 for now, and this is how it is giving the output. But trust me, this doesn't stop you from going ahead. So the idea is, if the concept of printing, if the concept of taking an input is clear, you can rest other things for now. They can be learned within minutes or on the go itself. You can simply proceed with something known as different data types which Python has. Okay. All right. With that being said, we can simply go ahead and try to see different data types. So some data types which are commonly used in Python, one would be integer, right? So remember that certain data types like integer, float, boolean, they cannot be directly used as the variable name. Although you can, but you should not use them directly. Instead, okay, can you all hear me? Because I think I had power failure because of which my laptop restarted. All right, let me just check. Hello, all. Is my voice back? Can you all hear me? All right, interesting. Great. So let us resume the discussion. I'll just quickly share back my screen. Okay, perfect. Now that you all can see the screen back and everything is audible, let us proceed. Okay. Now, again, I told you, since these are some built-in data types, we should not directly use them as variable names. I can just simply use a underscore or try to change the name a little bit, like by doing boolean. Okay, when it works, things like that. Okay, I'll just still stick to underscore with that thing. So integers are nothing but these numbers, right? 12, 13, 14, something like that. Floats are nothing but values like 13.74 is a float. Boolean is nothing but true or false. So remember, T and F are capital for this case. I could have also written false. Those are the only two options that exist, right? You can use them and you are good to go with them. So these are some basics that I'll cover. Let us try to print. Okay, print. I'll just try to use or recollect things that I have learned for now, which is that in print I can use int is equals to, and what I will do is Rather than giving space manually, I'll use one more special method to use space is slash t, which stands for tab. So on our computers, we all have this tab button above the caps lock, which gives us the space of a tab, right? Like four white spaces. So slash t can do that. Is equals to again a slash t would mean that before and after equal to we have slashes, right? Okay. So moving ahead, yes, I'll talk about data type. I'll talk about none also. Do not worry. I'll give you some explanation. So with that, we can simply use the variable integer that we have. And now again in here, I will use the f operator which I just told you, and put this in the curly braces. So that way, I'll be able to print the value of integer underscore variable, right? And similarly, I can cluster around few more, which is fl float, and the other one is boolean. Now with this, we can simply use fl float, and this we can use boolean. Okay. Now with that being said, if we run this, you see this is the kind of output that we get. Um, Now, what are different data types in which people are also asking if I can shed some light on the non data type. So non data type is also known as empty or nothing. It is a very crucial and important data type in a programming world. Why? Because I'm telling you, sometimes it is quite possible that you might not get the things that you were expecting, right? So during that time, to handle errors, to handle that something should return, right? It's not like the pipeline should be stuck over there. You should not be stuck forever. You can return none, that nothing was retrieved, right? And the code will work. Maybe your code can fail. Your code was expecting an integer, but none returned, which means that some function failed, and the function which failed was supposed to return that value, could not return that value, which is why by default it is returning none, right? For example, let us try to search that we want to search some integers, but if we are not able to retrieve integers from the input, we will return none. Okay, that none was found. So none is again a very important data type which can help us return null values or empty or nothing, right? Uh, None means the same thing, right? Now, moving ahead from here, we could have some data types which involve the combination of multiple data points. For example, the first one which I'll talk about is list. Okay. Now, list is quite important and crucial. It starts and ends with square brackets. Okay. Uh, List can be declared with square brackets. Now, for example, if I create L1, which is again a variable name, and I told you it can start or end with square brackets. Now, it can hold multiple variables, okay? Can hold multiple variables. Now, if you ask me the uses of list or where can list be used, so there are so many end cases or numerous, I'll say, an infinite possibility or a mammoth examples, a huge collection of examples which can place in. I can give you an example. Suppose I want to create a list of students of 10th standard. Okay, say I have say let's upgrade is the college name. So let's upgrade, and I want batch 24, batch Jan 24. This is the variable name that I've created, right? Since I told you how we can declare variable, we can use variables with caps locks, underscores, and numbers, or lower cases. I'm using the combination of it to create it, and I will store roll numbers, right? Roll number 1, 2, 3, 4. They, that's the roll number that we want to get. Now, apart from that, I can create one more batch, LU. Uh, I'll say batch Feb 24. Okay. So in Feb 24 we'll have some roll numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Say in Feb we got 10 students enrolled in. We can then store multiple things like this. Okay. We can use lists to not only store these things but store multiple things. Okay, so again, one of the most important data type could also be string. Okay, the string is nothing but which goes in the inverted comma, something like hello. Okay, and Python has one advantage that strings can not only go with double inverted commas but can also go with single inverted commas, which I'll just quickly demonstrate that to you. Okay, I could also written hello like this. You see, it still doesn't change anything, no effects over there. Now, one advantage of this is that if I say I have to use single and inverted in my answer or in my print, I can utilize that by starting and ending with double quotes. Okay, say let's upgrade live stream. Okay, so do you see how in the E and S between over here in the let upgrades, I'm using a single quote to apostrophe to use that, right? So if I am running it, see that is getting printed as a single quote over here, right? Now if I wanted double quote in the solution, okay, so I could have simply uh, switched with single quotes to start and end with, and use double quote around a word to get that value printed, right? So if you see now live is like this. So that's how the print can work and it functions that way, right? So there are some common data types: integer, float, boolean, string, and these are some uh, ways in which you can hold multiple of them. So I told you lists can be of multiple types, like they can hold multiple data types. You can also hold, say, L1 to be a list, which can hold different strings. Okay, say S1, comma S2, comma S3. Okay. Apart from that, there could be a list too, which can hold mix of things. Okay, suppose hello is a string, true is a boolean, and uh, 12 is a one is a number, or say 3.14 is a float. And now, if you try to say, let us try to print one of the list, print lu backslash 24, if you print it, you will see this is the output of that list which it stores. Now, if I print L1 over here along with it, say print L1 and print L2, you will see that these are the different lists that I have created. Yep, so this is the main agenda of having lists in Python, that they can solve the functionality of an array as a data type. Okay, so remember the data type is array, but in Python we call it list. Okay, now with that being said, I hope the idea is a little bit clear over here. I'll just try to further zoom my screen if possible a little bit. Yeah, I hope this should be now pretty much clear, right? Now, with this being said, we can proceed further to continue the understanding that lists can be created and they can store multiple things for us. Uh, Now, we can also understand that how lists can be sliced. Okay, so slicing of lists. Let us understand that. So the idea is that suppose if I have list, say A1 is a list which has values like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like, so when we say that we need to slice something, it means to cut a part of it, right? A slice of cake means that a cake is cut in parts, right? So string can also be sliced. For example, if I print A1, I am printing the complete string. What if I want to slice and only print a chunk of this string, right? So for that, you will go back and understand the concept that how lists are stored in Python. So lists are stored in Python based upon index values. So index are nothing but as room numbers. For an example, if you go to a hotel, if you go and you check in for a room, uh, you always get a special room number which is unique to you. Could be 101, 125, 211, something like that, right? And if we have to locate you in the hotel, we have to locate your room number, right? So index work in a similar way. Say A1 is a hotel, and an empty hotel means that it has infinite room which it can occupy. So the first person, uh, someone who comes into the picture, the first person which will come will take index as 0. Let me put indexing in the below, okay, as a command, and I'll explain you how indexing is supposed to work. So the first index, say person 10 comes into the list, okay. So Python will always refer A1 ka 0, which means at the 0 value of A1, you will find the value 10, okay. Then say 20 comes into picture. So Python will always say that at index 1 you will find 20, or first number के index पे आपको 20 मिल जाएगा, right? Similarly, if 30 comes into picture, you can go and Python will say at second index you will find it. So now you are smart enough and you will understand that so and so and so and so till the nth value you will find indexing to word. So what does this mean? Is that Python work with index starting from zero value. Yep. So I am working on with that. I am accessing the values of string on the list. So I hope that works out. Great. Perfect. Now moving ahead. So you see that now we understand that Python में कभी भी string starts होंगी, they will start from indexing as 0. So if I now go and have to slice something, so slicing happens with the round brackets. Okay, I'll give you a syntax of how slicing works. Say object name, which is mostly a list, right? Followed by square brackets, something like that. Okay, slice start range. I'll simply put start and end. This is the syntax which you can follow. See, object name, which is list by default for us, is A1 in our case. Start and end, we will put it in the round brackets. So say we don't even need to slice from start to end. We just need one element. So if I put A1 at 2, what it would mean is that on the second index, whatever is the value, just retrieve that for me and give it to me. So if I run this, you will see the output is 30. What does this mean is that A1 at second index is able to print 30 for us. Okay. Now with that being said, what does this mean is that if I put 1 over here, the output should be 20. If I put 0 over here, the output should be 10. But if I put 3 over here, can I have in chats what should be the output if I put 3 in the A1? Can someone think about it? Let us check. Okay. So Omkar says it should be error. So does Krishna says it should be error. Perfect. Interesting. And basically, yeah, it should be error because our string lies or rests only till the second index. If I hit this index error, list index went out of range to the limiting value point. So, which means that we can slice the list only in the size in which it exists. Now let us see how start and end will work. Suppose I want to start slicing from index number 2. Now you already know what exists in index number 2. 0 पे 10 है, 1 पे 20 है, index number 2 has 13, right? So we are starting from 30. So if I want to print till 50, okay, I want to print till 50. So what is the index value for it? 2, 3, 4, right? I want to stop till 4. So what I'll have to do is I'll have to mention 5 over here. What does this mean is up to 5, okay? Which means, and do not print fifth, but up till fifth, print whatever is available. Always remember the slicing works. This is the funny way in which Python works actually. The slicing sometimes can be confusing for people that start. You can imagine it works always with end minus 1. So if I want to print till fourth index, I'll have to give fifth as the limiting value, right? If I hit this, you'll be able to get 30, 40, 50. If I want till the next value, I'll have to go for 6. If I want one more, I'll get out of error range. Oh, okay, because 7th will work because it's still in n minus 1 range. But if I go for 8, okay, wait. Okay. So that's the funny way in which again slicing should work is that it will go till the max bound it is finding. Now, let us try to understand one more way in which you can slice is that negative slicing. Of course, I'm coming to it. That we can start from the right side and treat it as our first entity. So, right side always starts with minus 1. I'll give you that example again over here. Hashtag index in the reverse fashion. So, this is now our nth term over here, and we can always go with some dots, and I'll start from here. This is the minus 1 index. This is the minus 2 index. Okay, and this is the minus 3 index. Remember, Python will always count index in the reverse order like this. What does this mean is that if I do minus 1, it would say that I need to print the last element. Minus 1 would mean last element. Minus 2 would mean second last element. Minus 3 would mean third last element. Okay. So that's how string is supposed to work. If you want to put 0 comma 0, you can put that, it will give you empty list. But if you put 0 comma 1, it will give you the first element. Okay. So that's how the list is supposed to work, and the list is supposed to be sliced. You can also do reverse slicing. In fact, from slicing, one interesting way is colon colon minus 1. This will reverse the string for you. 60, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10. Okay, so one simple or a quick way to get a reverse of a string is to use this slicing condition, right? Now the correct way to learn Python is that once you have this basics clear with you, कि हम variables कैसे बना सकते हैं, how can we assign variables, how can we work around the syntax of Python, rules to create variables, how to write comments, how to print things, do things. Uh, this is a good time that now you can start with any course of your choice. You can pick some instructor. Suppose if you are a little slow at learning, or if you are not the self-paced person, or you do not have the correct motivation, you can always reach out to companies or to people who teach. Look into the help or the courses which can say tailor things for you. But if you are already someone who wants to find your journey on your own, or you're dedicated, you can start looking for resources online. There are so many good resources like Geeks or Geeks, and maybe like Tutorials Point, and uh, many other. You can W3S schools. You can look for them. Start learning Python from there, or else you can always rely on Let's Upgrade for the best industry experts to make sure that you always learn in a live manner, or in a fashion in which that you always have access for help and aid whenever needed, right? So this will be a good time to go ahead and master your Python skills further ahead. Now with that being said, we just covered one data type for you, which is list for now. Okay, now let us talk about another interesting data type, which is known as tuple. Okay, so tuple is nothing but just one version of list which is rigid. Okay, which means immutable. So this word means rigid. Okay, which further means can't be edited. Okay, that's one simple way. Suppose if I declare a tuple like this, say tuple one is equals to, now tuples are introduced and written with the round brackets, uh, as lists were done with the square brackets. 1 comma 2 comma 3, and if I print tuple, okay, you see I'm still able to print it, I'm still able to slice it, okay. But the only difference is that suppose if I create a list now, say list 1 is equals to 1 comma 2 comma 3. In future, if I want to add some more value to the list, I can do list 1 dot append 4, and then I say print list 1. Let me also print list 1 before appending, print list 1. If I run this, you see the list is updated, which means I can add values into the list, remove values from the list, change values into the list, modify them, or do a lot of things with the list, right? The idea is that the tuple cannot do this. If I print tuple over here, and if I do tuple 1 dot append 4 and print tuple 1, I'll get attribute error. Tuple has no attribute to append, right? Which means tuples are not supposed to be modified. Now, when can we use something like this? So one important use case of tuple would be where you want to store some important variable values, where you want to store certain values which are quite important for you, something like Aadhaar card information, which should not be modified by the code. Any bug should not overwrite values. You can store them in tuple, right? Which values are supposed to be fixed and should not be modified can go as tuples always. Okay. So with that being said, this is the only difference that the tuple will follow, that you cannot append, remove values from it. Whereas in lists, you can access items from it, you can print items from it, okay, and you can simply create different things. You can add values into it. You can remove things from list. You can use pop from it. Okay, you can do a lot of things. So maybe like pop will simply remove the last element, okay, and then you can also remove using dot new function from the index. Now, with that being said, I'll not go into more depths of lists and tuple. In fact, I'll also keep it as a uh, quite a challenging marathon for you. That before, although we have a lot of session left, do not worry about it. But before you come tomorrow, I want you to be prepared that you researched on your own from internet, that you studied different things on how to slice lists, how to add things into it, remove things into it. Always remember that code is something that you should learn. Code means to create, which is how to create list. R means how to print list, read list. Update means how to add values into the list. Okay, and D would mean to delete, how to remove things from the list, right? So code is the most basic operation that you should understand and learn in order to do real life problems. Okay. So once you're done with that, the next important thing that you should learn or should know is known as dictionaries in Python, right? So what does dictionary mean? So dictionary is nothing but is supposed to be one more data type, which acts like hash. You can say data type, okay, which means that you can store values in key and values, okay. So dictionary stores value as key and value pairs, okay. Suppose if I have to create one form, list is a very good way to store values into it. I think I have explained tuple in a way that it is similar to list. Raj, you can keep that in information. It's pretty much similar to a list. Only thing that you cannot use the update function on it, right? You cannot update the tuple at all. That's only difference. Now, with that being said, all right, yeah, you can move ahead. And in fact, yeah, I would say Python is one of the most easiest language to begin with, and it only remains easy till the point that to understand. And if you all feel that way, it means that Widow Van Rossum, who created Python, should be very happy because this was his agenda that programming should be so easy that just by looking into the program itself you can learn to program. So yes, that's how it is supposed to be. But then again, when you dwell on the journey as a developer, you will come across multiple things which you will find challenging. Industrial problems will always put you in trouble. Yeah, our dictionary is similar to hash maps, random fun. That's correct. That's the data type that we will follow. Now, people can also compare it to JSON if you want, because JSON is also similar. That's what we call it, right? Yeah. So, Lonely Devil, today's session is only about basics. Well, today's session will extend till functions if you want to understand what functions are and how we can create them. We will do some basic uh, things around it. We will try to play around with some problem statements also. Right. Yes. All right. Now, let's move ahead. With that being said, we will create one more dictionary. So I'll just even use one variable name, say my dictionary, okay, and in it we can store any value. For example, if I want to store something like uh, name is equals to, let's say, Gaurav, okay, I want to store age is equals to say 27, 28, and if you want to proceed like that, you can just simply keep on proceeding, and dictionary will store these values for you. When I say print my dictionary, you will be able to see that this is the value stored. Now, how do we access the elements in dictionary? Okay, how do we proceed with getting the values out of dictionary? So, in this square bracket, we need to pass the key name. Okay, so in my dictionary, what is the name? Is Gaurav. In my dictionary, what is the age? It is 28. Okay, so this is how my dictionaries or dictionaries are supposed to work. So these data types are really helpful when you want to store form data or you want to store values in key values, right? Okay, it really helps, and it is the most preferred language across database when you want to interact with some database dumps like MySQL or MongoDB dump. You want to interact with the APIs, you want to interact with the internet protocols. You'll find a lot of things coming like this, right? Yeah. Yes, Abraham, if you want to work with AI and ML, Python is must 100% for you. You need to learn Python. Okay. Siddharth, if you know Java and you want to switch to Python, things like what functions are, what object-oriented programming is, how to handle files, what input output is, these things like programming regimes are clear with you. You only need to switch to a syntax now. There should not be much trouble if you know one programming language and then you want to switch to Python. It will be not difficult, right? Yeah, Sandeep, that's possible. Even if you do not know C++, you have not touched C, C++, and you're only a Python developer, you can still have a successful career in IT. You can retire and no one will fire you till your retirement. You are only good with Python. Okay. Yeah. Yes, in dictionary also you can use the dot update function, or you can simply add one more key like this. Say my dictionary first of all add say gender. is equals to male. So this is how I'll do update function, and I'll just print my dictionary. And you will see dictionary has now one more updated value. So curd can also be applied to dictionary. Raja Gupta, it depends upon person to person that how much time do you need to learn a programming language. That is never a quick short answer. In an average 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1 year would be the time. People on an average, if you want, if you look on the average, you can learn Python in 1 to 3 months. 1 month is also enough. 3 months is also enough. 3 months you can become an expert. Yes, it can be used for DevOps operations also. Python is most versatile language, and I cannot emphasize any further that why you need to learn it. You can future-proof your career AI ML if you want to switch there. If not, just go into it. Now, I also explained you how you can access elements. You can also have nested versions of lists and dictionaries to follow, which means you can go as deep as you want. Say nested or n list if I do nest list is equals to in list I can store list itself as the first object, right? 1, 2, 3, comma list as the second object, 2, 3, 4, comma list as the third object, 3, 4, and rather than having a third object I can still go for 5 objects. Even this is possible. A list having more lists in it as an object. So print nest list. If I do this, you see this is the output. Now, if I slice, if I say the first element, I will get only this first element as the output, right? You can see this is in the output. Now, I can further slice it with one more rectangle. First element of the first element, I will get 1. You can slice it like this. Okay. Second element, I can slice it. Third element, list out of range because third element is again little separate now, right? So third element, let me first just print third element what it is. So, okay, sorry. Second is the last element. So in the second element, I can then go for -1. Here it is, and on the 0, I can get 5, right? So with that being said, this is how nested lists can work or should work. Now, apart from understanding different data types, the next thing that you should understand or know are different loops. Okay, so loops are again very interesting things in which you should pay attention to. Sometimes we need to iterate over few things, right? So there are few basic loops that you need to understand. Let us consider them. First one is known as the for loop, used for plain iteration. Okay. Then we have while loop, used for conditional iteration. Okay. Uh, so that's something to have. Then we have if else or if then if else loop, used for logical iteration. I'll explain you all of them quickly. So for loop would mean that you will simply take an object, and if that object can be iterated over. What does iteration means that you can remove things from it continuously as you keep on digging that element. For example, a list, for example, a dictionary, they can be iterated over, right? A tuple can be iterated over, right? But something like integer, float, they cannot be iterated. It's a single value. We are talking about some data types which hold multiple values into it, right? They can be taken into it. Suppose if I take a bag and if I throw 10 different balls into it, I can iterate over it, right? 10 different times. Ball 1, ball 2. I can iterate 10 times over it. So for loop is used for such iterations. Let me create one list, say I is equals to simply 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and I will use for loop. For the syntax always says that you need to create one temporary variable over here. Okay, temporary variable. So temporary variable in I. We have all solved mathematics in our time, and we all know that we used to find that interesting value of x, find x, or find something, right? Why do we call it x? It is nothing but a convention, a way to name things, right? So we can simply say for, you can write simply x over here, or you can write simply anything like for value or for value or for val in I, which will denote temporarily that particular element. Okay, you can also type element over here for e for element in I, print element. If I run it, you see each time this loop works, it works in iteration. Okay, right over here, print. Before looping, print. Let me print it in a single command statement. Slash t in loop is equal to element print out of. What would this mean is that if you look at line number one, we create a list. Line number two, we print something. Line number three, we start a loop. Line number four, we are in the loop. Now you see, we will be in the loop until and unless all the elements from the iterable are executed. Only then we will go out of the loop. If you see before looping, code is working, and this part of the code belongs to be in the loop, right? In loop, you are printing it, and then you are coming back over there. Yes, Abraham, that's what I've written over there. It is for logical choices. It's not a if else is more like a conditional statement, right? So it is used for logic statements. Yeah. So now moving into it, what you can think about for loop is that it is used to simply iterate over different elements. As explained, you can also loop into a dictionary. Say we created one dictionary over here, right? My dictionary. So my dictionary dot. Let us say just values. If you want to create only values. So dot of 28 mail. You want to print only keys. You can go for dot keys. Age gender. Or you can also use iter items, which will give you key value both. So dictionaries can be treated like that. Apart from it, while loops, while loop should be designed carefully as they can uh, produce infinite loops. What does this mean? That while loop will start an execution and it will keep on executing it until and unless condition is achieved. Okay, so we will create one integer, say integer, say a is equals to 2. Okay, if I write a condition while a is less than 10, until and unless this condition is not achieved, keep on iterating. While a is less than 10, print in loop. And inside the loop itself, you see I'll write one code which will say a is equals to current value of a plus 1, which means that I am incrementing the value of a each time. So first time when this while loop is attained, a starts from 2. It will say, okay, print in loop, make a as 3, go back, still as 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and when it becomes 10, it will break the loop and say out of loop. Okay? Now when I run this, you will be able to see that we are in loop for a while until unless value of A is available. Let me also print A. You can see how A is increasing and when it becomes 10, we go out. Now imagine if I forgot to write something like this. And now I execute this loop. A can never be greater than 10. Means it is an infinite loop. If you look at this timer carefully, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds, continuing, it will never stop. Suppose through some magic, not through some magic, through some uh, one of the rare situation where if this computer or if this processor tends to exist till the end of the universe, this computer will still keep on printing in loop 2, in loop 2, in loop 2. Even the human race would have repeated to see this, but this monitor will still continue to print in loop 2 until and unless you destroy this machine. Other way is to switch it off. So I will just switch it off by stopping the interpreter. It can take some efforts. Yep, we have disrupted the program, and now the program is out of the loop. I'll bring it back to the loop and say 7. Run it. It looks clean, but you see the program had a lot of efforts to make it stop. So which is the thing that we should follow with the while. Now with this thing being cleared, let us look at the if else loop. Okay. Alright. So suppose if I have to create some uh, say games, okay. I have a gaming zone, okay. So I'll create one list, game zone is equals to I'll create uh, say toddler games, okay, where it will be G1 like game number 1, 2, 3 are for toddlers. I'll recommend that to them. I'll create one teenager section. Okay. Suppose I'm creating a fun fair and I have different set of things that people can try out. Uh, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 are for teenagers and adults can do game, game number 9, 10, 11, 12 are for adults, 13, 14, 15. Now, if I want to check from the user, I'll take one input, okay? IP is equals to integer input. Enter your age, okay? Now, based upon your age, I will be able to recommend which games you should try, okay? If age is less than 12, what I should recommend them is print try games is equals to from the dictionary I should print comma game zone at toddler section, right? Okay, I will take this age. Else if what should be the condition? Else if age is less than say 19, you should try games like what for teenager. Okay. Else condition always doesn't need a check because it is pretty straightforward obvious that if 12 has failed, 19 has failed, the input is at least around 19 or more than that. Else I can simply go ahead and tell that try game. For adults, enter your age, 5-year old, try games 1 to 3. Run this program once again, enter your age, I am say 42-year old, try games 19 and 14. Once again, enter your age, I am 15 years old, try games 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is the logic in which we can program things using if, else and elif loops. Sometimes we not need elif loops. Suppose if we are only making games for toddlers and everything else is common, then we can simply write this. Okay, if else it works. We can also use if condition only if needed. Okay, loops can work that way also. If else loop can work. Only a if loop can also work. Okay, and if you want else, you can use that. If you want elif, you can combine it. But this is the main syntax. So again, the goal is that before you come back tomorrow, you have enough of uh, context to be digested, learned, and practiced. That you need to understand how loops work. You need to understand basically how strings are made. I'll just talk about the things that we were supposed to cover in today's session. We were supposed to cover the programming fundamentals. I explained to you that how programming fits into the real world inputs that we get from this world that we live in. It could be something like from your Instagram, Facebook, things that you click. It is an application, right? Someone has built front end for you. Whatever you're interacting goes as an input to the back end, and that input can be played around in multiple ways. Input could be in different format: audio, video, JSON, strings, um, text files, PDFs, anything. It could be anything which is capable to be understood by a processor. And with it, you can do a lot of different things. You can create machines that can work for you. Uh, Machines that can work like alarm. Suppose if something is beyond a threshold, raise alarm that something is going. You can do that. You can stop machines. Do how these modern cars are working, lane assist, right? Accident collision ADAS features, everything, every functional thing in real life can be automated through programming. Just by maybe you can create some sensors like some vision cameras, some smart smart systems. Hey Alexa, play music for me. It will capture your audio and start playing. It's nothing but a program to capture audio as an input, and through the code you convert that input into text, and from the text you find the meaning. From meaning you did the correct thing. Now, with that being there, we introduce ourselves to Python. We understood the syntax, how comments work, how data types work. We saw strings, integer, float, boolean. In fact, I'll recommend that you can also look into strings because we can also slice strings the same way we sliced lists. With that being said, you can use tuples, you can use lists, you can use dictionaries, you can use for loops, you can try different things. Now, the next thing is I'll give you some live exercise. We can use the next 15-20 minutes for live practice of different problem statements. Now, I assume that some of you will have some idea about programming, which you can try it out always. Okay, so I'll give you one simple thing that uh, write a code to take two numbers as input, print the sum and product of them. Sum and product would mean addition and multiplication. दो नंबर ले लो फ्रॉम यूजर एज एन इनपुट, उनको प्लस करके दिखा दो एंड उनको मल्टीप्लाई करके दिखा दो. स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड. ओके, लेट अस सी हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू शुड बी एबल टू डू इट. I'll give you the code straightforward, but you guys can just quickly try to do it on your own quickly. All right. Let's see how you guys can do it. For making career in cybersecurity, which programming language is best? So for cybersecurity, Python is not the best programming language to begin with, but Python is always a must. You will need Python. In fact, you can make a career with Python itself in cybersecurity. But I'll still recommend that for that level, you need the understanding of C, C++ also a bit, because a little low-level programming language can always be a benefit to make more robust security solutions, right? But of course, Python is a good point to start with. You will need it anyways in cybersecurity also. Alright, so I'll just quickly say, I'll just for now hard code the integers, okay? B is equals to 3. You could have taken them as input, wrapped in the integers. Print a plus b, print a multiplied by. And this is how it will work. If you needed a little bit of coding on it, you could have said integer, into, enter, number 1 is equals to, and wrap it like that. That's it. Okay? Alright. Now, so next problem statement that I wanted to solve is write a code which can print table of given input up to 10. Interesting program. Let's see how many you can solve it. I can give you any number, say table of 5, table of 3, table of 10. You will have to give me output as 10 ones are 10 twos are 10 threes. First of all, Raja Gupta, the idea or the notion of product-based companies is a fad. I will say it is more like what the market trend just keeps on saying that product-based companies pay you good. It's not like that. Uh, Product and service are nowadays equally, I'll say, good enough. Both have their own advantages. See, in product-based company, what will happen is you will master one skill, learn it, and you will become expert of it, like the core expert. In service-based companies, you will learn multiple skills. You will not be the master of all, but you will become jack of all. But both have their ups and downs, right? Maybe if you work in a product-based company for 10 years, you will have little difficulty to switch in places where the trend is state of the art. If you're in service-based companies, maybe you can switch to any place because you always keep up with the trend. So with that being in the idea, both have their plus and minus. Remember that. Even if we assume that product-based companies pay you a little more, if you're asking me how much can a Python developer can earn, in reality figures, a fresher can earn up to 3-4 lakhs per year. A fresher with 1-2 years of experience, with 2-3 years of experience, can go from 6 lakhs to 18 lakhs as a standard. I'm giving you the most real average, right? Let's not be influenced by people with 2-3 years of experience earning 20, 30, 40, 50 lakh of packages. I'll say the majority of the median, 70 to 75% of the developers, will lie in 6 to 18 lakhs. Could be 20 lakhs also, but it's the average. And then when you are super senior, then you unlock these packages of 20, 25, 30 plus packages. Some good companies, some medium companies like Fractal, Deloitte, because I've worked in such companies, I can tell you the packages here vary in different places. Depends upon the interview also. Like for the same post, 4 or 5 people that I know, one person works for 8 lakh package, one for 11 lakh, and another for 18 lakh. Same designation, same post, things were all upon the interview, right? Some person agreed that some person claimed that I need 9 lakhs, so the company gave them. The other person claimed I need 18 lakhs. 18 lakhs. Company had the budget. Company gave them 18 lakhs for the same post, same work. So it's also one angle of salary is also on that component, but another angle of component is also on how much can the company pay. So to take that idea, there are many third party places, Ambition Box or other places where you can look for similar payrolls, what they are getting paid. You can look at the company budget, the number of people available, market research kar lo, what is the average pay for that role. So, for example, if you tell me that if you are taking Python as an average developer, the fresher can earn anywhere between 3 to 5 lakhs. Is a good start for a fresher. 1 to 2 years of experience person, 6 to 12 lakh के बीच का पैकेज is fair enough. Like I will say 8 to 12 lakh का पैकेज तो काफी अच्छा कर रहे हो 1 or 2 year के एक्सपीरियंस पे. 4 year के एक्सपीरियंस पे एटलीस्ट आपको 15 प्लस होना चाहिए. 15 से 25 is a good package to be. Right. Yes, and I think Random Fun has a point that packages will be little. You will see there's a crunch now in the market. You will not, your packages won't soar like the way it used to post pandemic, pre pandemic. Situations are like there's a correction going on in the market. People who are getting paid, like I know many people recently in the past 4 months, people who were on 36, 40, 28K package have reduced to 15 lakh package now suddenly. Companies are cutting cost on them because people can sometimes jump a lot in the jobs and get overpaid, and then after a point they will get correction. So make sure the path is not to go beyond behind the salary. Not always accept offers which are for salary, because as a fresher लाइफ के 3 4 साल आपको बस देने हैं, सिर्फ 3 4 साल देने हैं विदाउट द ग्रीड. 4 5 साल बाद पैसा आपका ही है, बिकॉज इफ यू हैव द स्किल एनी कंपनी कैन पे यू एंड यू विल बी देन मार्केट फ्लक्चुएशन फ्री. बिकॉज जितनी भी फ्लक्चुएशन अप्स एंड डाउन करेक्शन आते हैं, दीज आर फॉर द पीपल हु आर नॉट वर्किंग और नॉट प्रोडक्टिव इनफ फॉर द कंपनी. अगर आपने 3 4 5 साल बहुत हार्ड वर्क किया है, यू आर अ सॉलिड पर्सन, एंड इवन इन दिस कंडीशन you will get appraisals in that. So remember that, and that's the correct way to look into it. Now, with this point, remember that students Let's Upgrade is coming up with a boot camp, and all the information is in that drop box, description box. Look into it. Make sure that all your such doubts uh, convert into the correct path, and Let's Upgrade can definitely help you with making a robust career into the IT, because not only people like me, I will say, Let's Upgrade has a very strict scrutiny on selecting the trainers, which are not only for the cause of money but for the cause of giving back to the community. So Let's Upgrade strongly believes that we need to make coders of tomorrow, and for the same, we make sure that whatever we are teaching comes through the interaction, and students are given ample space to grow. Right. So, yes, Mr. Trader is correct. After 4 5 years, you can go beyond 25 easily. Well, with that being said, we will be concluding here. I can take more doubts if needed. I'll look in the comment now. Let us just quickly check. Having a knowledge about the input levels on this language. And your comment a little bit clouded with the sound. I have to work after that. I am having knowledge about C, input. So basically, Kanaya Lal, the idea is not that you should work on different languages. You can work on different skill sets. You're already good with programming. You have deep level knowledge of C. You have knowledge of Python. Next thing is go for something like DevOps. Go for something like cloud. Uh, Go for understanding how front end back end work. Not only just wrap around with back end. थोड़ा फ्रंट एंड कर लो, बैक एंड कर लो, फुल स्टैक कर लो. वंस यूर अ फुल स्टैक, गो फॉर क्लाउड कंप्यूटिंग, गो फॉर डेटा साइंस, go for data engineering, learn database, learn SQL, NoSQL, GraphDB, go for Neo4j or something like that. Learn more different things. So Python and C are more than enough. You should not proceed anything further. Data analytics cannot go without Python. We need it. Priyanka Jain, you can always follow Let's Upgrades. You can say we have a lot of recorded sessions, available trainers. You can always contact Let's Upgrade if you want to start learning Python from scratch. But if you want to do it on your own, you can start with Geeks or Geeks, or you can also search anywhere on the internet, find your own journey. That can definitely help. WCS schools, Geek for Geeks, Student Points, uh, Python native. These are some common websites which can help you learn Python. Yes, Anjana, if you do not know C, C++, you can still uh, start with the Python. All right, then. Thank you so much, students, for joining live. It was really fun having you. We will stop the session here. We will continue back tomorrow. So, tata, bye bye to all of you. Thank you for bearing with me. I'll see you all tomorrow. Goodbye. Good night.